Hi, my name is Adriana Mangual, and this is my This Is Me final project. First, we're going to start off with my personal assessments. These findings are from chapters 2, 4, 5, 8, and 11. On some of these, I scored average, on others, I scored above average, and on one, I scored below average, and we'll see why. My 5 reflections and significances tie in very closely to my surveys for the culture and interpersonal communication survey. I actually scored above average, and I think that's because of my background. At the top picture with the suits in red, I was very culturally aware that the girls were different from me. We didn't have the same skin color, eye color. Our values and beliefs were different. But then when it did come to coming to Gainesville and being around that's my sorority family at the bottom, I did look like them, but that didn't differentiate how it was to adapt to the culture here, because I still had to adapt to a more Americanized culture, which I wasn't used to, and it just helped me become culturally aware. Number two is perceiving others. I've always had a really hard time perceiving others. I definitely fell into the common tendencies that the textbook talked about, making snap judgments, clinging to first impressions, judging ourselves more charitably. That was all me. I was accepting of cultures, but it didn't always mean that I was accepting of the person. And I always thought others perceived me very mean, and I perceived others very mean as well. I was just not a good communicator, and I didn't know how to be open and friendly and how to reciprocate those feelings so that somebody could also be open and friendly with me. But as you see in that picture, as I got to college, I was more open to the idea of perceiving others better. Number three is language. Language for me in my past was very hard, especially with my family. That's actually a picture of my sister, my sister-in-law, and family is probably one of the hardest people to communicate to. Although language is symbolic, it could easily be manipulative, and I just didn't know the difference between a powerful and a politeness language. For example, with my sister, I was always using more powerful language. With my sister-in-law, I would use more polite language, and I think that just has to do with the fact that I didn't know how to communicate in a way that wasn't just with one solid language and precision. So, emotional intelligence was one of the hardest things for me, just because I did fall into a lot of the fallacies of perfection, of should, of approval. In that picture, I'm actually with one of my best friends, but this picture was really hard for me to post just because I thought I wasn't pretty. I thought I wasn't, perfect. I thought I wasn't. My my arms are fat. My hair is weird. That picture honestly took like 10 tries, and I just fell into all these fallacies, and it was just really hard coming into college and getting away from that, and just realizing that communication, I didn't have that, and I didn't know how to communicate that I felt this way either. Number five is communication climate. I chose this mainly because I hate to say this, but my mom used a lot of disconfirming communication with me when I was younger. Now she still kind of does it. I just know how to deal with it better. This led me to be disconfirming with others, and I didn't really know how to use confirming language until I got to college and I learned about these next things that I'll show you. Communication, this class has just taught me about language and identity. It has taught me about empathy and expressing my emotions. And as you'll see, like in these pictures, I'll show you the next. Managing my emotions, managing conflict, controlling communication. These are the things that have changed me, who I am completely. They've opened the door for me to understand what it is to be vulnerable and what it is to be completely empathetic, and how those two things aren't the same, and that's okay for me to just open up. Oh, I'm gonna cry. It's okay for me to just open up, and it's okay for me to not always fall into the fallacies that I did fall into. I didn't know how to manage my emotions at all. I didn't know what empathy was. Um, as you can see by these pictures, fitness was something that had a lot to do with me opening up because I was a very reserved and closed off person. These are my friends from middle school, and one of them just got married. Um, but those were the people that knew me when I was very reserved and closed off, and I didn't express emotion. And everybody who associated me knew that I was just this emotionless like block. Um, but as I said, fitness helped me gain some confidence along with communication. But I mostly think communication that got me this far just because it helped me realize that I am not alone and I can communicate to my friends and I can make new friends and I can be open and I can not always be in control and just be receptive of others and others be receptive of me. I learned a lot about endorsement. I learned a lot about recognition, and I'm so thankful for this course and for all communication courses because I was somebody that didn't really like them, but I realized that I didn't have good communication and that I was very closed off to myself, that I didn't know what vulnerability was, and a big part of communication is being vulnerable. So thank you so much. This is me final project, and I'm very grateful for this course, and thank you.